I like the Brady Bunch screen myself. I'll give it another minute. We've got a few people entering the waiting room, but I think maybe because we have so much to cover, maybe we'll, oh, it's exactly 6:34 on my phone and 6:30 on my laptop. Is anyone a tech genius who can tell me the difference there? I still haven't figured it out.
I've got 6:35.
Okay, then I say we go ahead and start. We've been nicely casual and I keep an eye on the waiting room just in case anyone joins us. Welcome everyone. This time last year, we were at the West Bloomfield Plum Market enjoying the last live Denny's garage sale. Denny, will you wave from Ponte Cane? So our guests here tonight who have not had the joy of meeting you know who Denny is. Denny is our fearless beverage coordinator for Oakland County, and we've also got Rod, who's in a spectacular cellar, unidentified. And Rod is the beverage coordinator for Ann Arbor, Denny for Oakland County. And we've also got our wine-loving, eloquent friend, Mike Pfeiffer, who's the wine team leader of Ann Arbor West. And we've also got, sure, a few more people that are working with and around us, including Paula Hartson from the West Bloomfield store. I see Michael Walsh. Hello, Michael Walsh. How nice to see you. Welcome, everyone. It's just a delight to see you. It's a delight to see everyone. So here we are. They are, by the way, renovating the West Bloomfield Lounge as we speak in preparation for future in-person events. We'll see if that comes to pass by the end of the year, but we mean it when we start, tearing down walls and rearranging structure in a store. That said, after a very short discussion, the Plum wine team couldn't imagine passing up doing Denny's garage sale, and we have put our heart, especially Denny, into trying to organize this in a way that is easy for you and fun. And it looks like we have a party because we have over 100 people registered and hopefully more joining us this evening. Before I do anything else, I'm going to share the screen with our, does everyone see that? Rod, can you see that? That's our website. If you go to the Plum Market website and you look at the top, to access this garage sale, you will not go to events. You will go to catering. The catering website, we're not trying to make this secret, it's just how this worked out technically. You're then going to select your store. So let's pick Ann Arbor North Campus, the Plymouth Road store. And there is Denny's garage sale. And you're going to click on that. And voila, those fabulous graphics. Denny, that was made by Jake, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jake Clinton painted that.
He is our beer buyer at the West Bloomfield store. And there are the 20 wines that are featured on the garage sale. And it is live as we speak. That is why I wanted to show that to you, because we've had this up, but you couldn't really place an order until 6:30. And it's past 6:30 now. So if you feel like placing your orders while we are talking, you are welcome to. So just remember, Plum Market website, top banner, not events, but catering. Pick your store and it will lead you to the garage sale. I don't think anyone's unmuted, but we don't mind it being chatty. Just if we have dogs or construction in the background, it can be annoying to some people. So keep yourself on mute unless you want to jump in and make a comment. Yes, you did get an email with I sent an email out right before this tasting a couple hours ago. If you didn't get it, don't worry. We're going to review it together and I will resend it at the end of the tasting. Also, we will include our email addresses. So if you want to discuss your order with any of us, you can. Just remember, it's not going to take place in the store. you know, physically, you're not going to walk in and select these wines in the store, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm going to let Rod and Denny tell us quickly what the essence of the garage sale is. Rod, would you jump in and tell the folks what we mean by this terrific sale?
This is my first participation in this, but it's legendary. Denny's been doing this for, it looks like 12 years now. A lot of people say garage sale, well, what are you doing? Are you just getting rid of your slow moving merchandise stuff that nobody else wants? No, that's not what this is about. That's why it's called Denny's garage sale, because he's the curator of this. And what's happened is that we deal with a lot of wholesalers, and each wholesaler deals with a lot of portfolios of different producers, hundreds of different producers within a certain portfolio. And the big movers move, but the little ones don't really move at the pace that they need them to move at, and they got to keep up. And they also have quarterly reports. So this is where Denny comes in. He visits all the wholesalers, finds out where these little producers are, who are part of bigger portfolios that we can make a deal on, buy it all. These are vetted. So in many cases, these are prime, right off the boat merchandise that simply does not fit a certain portfolio for that given moment. Denny's been very good at just judging the wines, making a deal. But I should say that when we buy it all, we buy it all. So once we sell it out, it's done. We move on. So we urge you to take our advice, find out what you like, and buy and get your 10% off.
Denny, you want to say anything else about it generally?
That puts me at Plum too long if it's been 12 years, but we usually do 2 of these a year. So this is number 12, and look forward to doing.
I apologize.
Look forward to doing one back at West Bloomfield in the fall, possibly, or next year. So as Rod mentioned, a lot of these situations are just local wholesalers who have either are parting with a line of wine, like with the Rosé, 220s are coming, 219s need to go. So fortunately, I've had a chance to establish relationships, and Plum has the financial situation where you can make an offer to buy all the inventory of a given item. That makes everything work a lot easier. So with this tasting here, we had to make sure we were able to get a broad selection of items, and going to all 4 stores is a little different than just having, you know, a knockdown, drag out evening at West Bloomfield where you're selling 80 or 90 cases in an hour and a half. So this is going to go for 10 days. And we have good supply on most of these wines. Some are short, and we knew that when we bought them, but we wanted them for variety. So we really look forward to you enjoying these. It's a special situation with the extra discount for 10 days. And I would work on it, and you'll be able to pick your wines up in 3 or 4 days after you put your order in. So let's get started on the wine. That's the main thing. Enjoy, and it's always fun.
This is, by the way, the list, which I did email to everyone. The virtual tasting wines are right up front, and then there are another 16, and we're going to go over all of them, you know, quickly. So we'll review everything, and all of these are available online on the website under catering. So that said, we need to taste some dry rosé, don't you think? This is, I have to jump in here and say that the 3 of us, Rod, Denny, and I, Mike, you didn't even make it to this part of the conversation. We're trying to figure out what grape varieties were in this, because this is a lauded Châteauneuf-du-Pape and Côte-du-Rhône producer, but this is a new project for them. And if everyone sees the appellation Principauté d'Orange, that's an area, what, north of Châteauneuf-du-Pape?
Yes.
But it doesn't include Châteauneuf-du-Pape, though it does include Gigondas. And if you look at the back label, it tells you one thing, and if you look at the website, it tells you another. But we're assuming there's Grenache and Syrah in this, right?
That seems to be what historically this particular wine has been. That every once in a while, a little bit of Morvet, but Grenache seems to be the backbone of this wine. And
this is super fresh. This is 2019. This is not a tired rosé. This is like positively snappy. It's wonderful.
It's got a little more substance than, you know, a Provence Rosé. It's not the light, delicate. It would hold up to light food. But I think it's definitely a wine you want to buy and enjoy this year. And that's one of the nice things about it. It's $8.
Here we are in the Southern Rhône, and this is a relatively new estate in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and they're based in Courtesson, right outside of the township. But they also make Côte du Rhône Village as well. And it's kind of neat to see the family members, because these are the folks who started it, Hélène and Aimé. I think Aimé is a gorgeous name for a gentleman. And his father used to sell the grapes, the estate grapes, and it was a small estate, to the local co-op. But then he like really increased the acreage over a couple of decades. And his kids, Isabelle and Christophe, are winemaker and vineyard manager, respectively. This I thought was really neat. If you go to the website, it'll tell you that Lilian is a truck driver with 20 years of service, and Ahmad is a farmhand with 30 years of service. So these people take family owned and operated very seriously. I think it's delicious, dry. Anyone who likes Provençal rosé would like it. It's got more guts to it than a lot of simple Southern French rosés.
We've had the good fortune of selling their Châteauneuf-du-Pape as well. They make 3 of those. And it's a Eric Solomon property and impeccable quality. We've always had good luck. So all I had to see was their name on an opportunity, and I didn't have any question. That was something we wanted.
So we should launch into the whites, Denny. Tell us about the whole Abandon project, because I had a hard time finding it online.
So the Abandon project was a project that Gallo started. They had access to some Lake County mountain property, vineyards, as well as Napa property. And with their resources, they came up with a new label that they were going to launch last year, Abandon. And it had 2 items, the Cabernet and the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is all Lake County, and the Cabernet, which we'll taste later this evening, is a Napa Lake County blend of Cabernet and a little bit of Petit Syrah and a couple other little things. And by the time it arrived at the local warehouse in the fall, last fall, Gallo Winery had entered into a purchase agreement with Constellation Wines and had bought 30 of their wineries.
30.
And that sort of killed the idea that they needed to have another wine like this. So these wines have been sitting locally at the warehouse, about 140 cases, never been sold. I heard about them, and I told them last fall I'd pay this much for them to get rid of them. And it took them 6 months, but they finally accepted the deal at the end of January. And this is how we got them. Seems sort of interesting that Gallo invents a wine called Abandon, and then shortly after that, they abandon the wines.
But we benefit. What's the style? Is it New Zealand or a little more?
No, this, the Sauvignon Blanc is, they talk about vineyards that are mountainside vineyards. It's a very crisp Sauvignon Blanc with just 3% Pinot Gris in it. Not at all New Zealand style. More typically California, no oak, all steel, and just nice, refreshing. You know, $20, $22 is probably a stretch. I can drink this all day at $10. It's very bright, very fresh, and something to consider for summer drinking up. 2019 vintage, so it's, you know, it's pretty
fresh,
recent.
Yeah. How about the complicated Chardonnay? I didn't even try to look this
Complicated Chardonnay is from a winery called Taken, which is in Napa. And this is a secondary label. And this is Northern Coast wine that's got a little bit of age on it. And that's frequently one of the situations you'll find with some of the whites when they start getting a little old. This is certainly not past its peak. It drinks very well. It's got some oak on it, good vineyards. It's Sonoma Coast, which certainly has a lot of great fruit. And it's well-made wine that's ready to enjoy. I would say it has enough weight and enough fruit to hold up to light food but a little more complicated than just a light sipping Chardonnay.
Sonoma
Excellent.
Coast is like saying,
That's pretty good stuff.
It's a huge growing region, but this is, it does telegraph that it's not, for the most part, warm climate, and not too much oak on this, Denny?
No, but it does have a little bit of oak,
Okay.
and it drinks really well.
This one, I want to tell people about this
Yeah,
because
you go ahead.
M. Chapoutier and Rod or Mike, you might want to opine on this one. I haven't had the specific wine. Denny, you probably have, but this is from a Rhône specialist, ostensibly known for Hermitage in the Northern Rhône, meaning Syrah specialist, but they now have an amazing operation if you go to their website, and they do extensive cuvées in the Southern Rhône as well. So this is 100% Viognier, that beautiful grape variety that to me smells like flowers and peaches, but not, a pushy florality like Gewürztraminer can be. And this is from actually an appellation called Collines Rhodaniennes that is basically wrong side of the slope, Northern Rhône, either above the Creuse or below the Creuse. But still, within hailing distance of them. You guys want to say anything else?
It's property that surrounds his house.
There you go.
And he calls them part of his alchemy wines, where he's sort of experimenting with various things. And again, it was a label that they only had a little bit of this, 7 or 8 6-packs. But as soon as he saw Chapoutier's name, it's like, all right, we've got a Bentley here on sale. So you just buy his wine. And there's a little bit in each store, not a lot, but it's certainly a very interesting wine.
Any of you guys tasted it? I haven't had the pleasure.
I haven't, but it comes from the northern part of the
Right.
Rhône. So
Right.
that's the best part for Viognier. It's got scores. If you're into scores, I think Spectator has like a 91 or 91 on. They call it bright peach, apricot flavors, burst forth. Minimal toe shows a delicious exuberant fruit to shine. So this is a specialist for this sort of wine. You can think Condrieu because it is Northern Viognier as opposed to Southern Viognier.
Right, it's within that scope, and that's important to know. The
Yeah.
Collines Rhodaniennes isn't some bizarre, faraway satellite region. It's in the Northern Rhône, and it's just not within the Cru appellations. How about, should we move on to the Pinot Noir?
All right, so this Pinot Noirs, these are the tale of two totally opposite Pinot Noirs. The Nielsen by Byron is a wine that had been brought in for a restaurant, and they had went through some, and then obviously we all know what happened to restaurants last year. So there were 8 or 10, 12 cases of this available. We tried a bottle of it. It was showing some nice development, ready to enjoy. And the restaurant that was using it wasn't using it anymore. So it became available at a good price, and so we bought it. This is Santa Maria Valley, which is a nice, cool area. It's a fairly substantial Pinot Noir, mature, nice nose, rich, as Pinot Noirs go, but it's really an interesting bottle. And you don't often get a chance to buy a well-aged Pinot Noir. This had been brought in from the winery for this restaurant. And they went through a part of it, and then this was just sitting here. So,
And by the way, this is a producer they were actually producing the first commercial vines in the Santa Maria Valley. So we're talking, and then within the Santa Maria Valley, they also have holdings in the Santa Rita Hills, which is even more dramatically affected by the Pacific. You've got these east-west transverse valleys running that literally channel the Pacific breezes inland. So, I didn't know that they had Santa Rita Hills fruit also, but they do.
I think they make 4 or 5 different wines.
Right. And single vineyard designated ones as well. But
right.
This is something that I had my eye on. $15 for Santa Maria Pinot. Can't beat that.
And so the other wine is from one of the oldest family-owned producers in the Burgundy region. They were founded in 1720. All their property is in the Côte de Beaune area. They make a lot of white wine. They make a lot of wines from around Meursault and Ausy de Retz, and have a number of crus as well. But they're all from the southern part of the Côte d'Or. This is a nice, bright, light, little Pinot, very Burgundian, lean in terms of style, very driven by its terroir.
You had it recently, didn't you?
Yes, I had a couple nights ago, and it was very good, but totally different than the other one. So you have really two totally different styles, and both well-made wines at reasonable price for a Pinot, and both are demonstrating something different than the other one.
Rod or Mike, have either of you had the Chianti? Or
I have not had it, but I did do a little bit of research. The vines from this actually come from Volnay and La Doua, and also from Santenay. And it's also been aged in barrel, which 25% is new. But yes, I would agree. You're going to get the earth and the terroir here as opposed to the varietal fruit of the California. So they're just same grape done in the classic ways of each area.
Well, there's another piece of fun information I want to share about the Santa Maria Valley and the Santa Rita Hills. People think cool climate, but the effect it has is that you can have really long hang time, like, you know, picking your Pinot into October and pushing November. And as a result, what you get is this tremendous acidity, and you still get ripeness and a little chunk of alcohol. So you have this lush, mouth-filling, delicious Pinot that is not acid deficient. And that's what's so cool about the South Central Coast Pinots. And then the Burgundian Pinot will be, you know, more sleek, less fruity. Okay, we should taste Chianti, don't you think?
I have a quick question on the Chianti.
Sure.
Would that be more of a drink now wine, or would you hold it?
I'd say it's a drink hold. If it's a Bourgogne, typically they produce them to be drunk young. So yes, you can, but it has the structure, the age, I'd say for another couple of years. That's about that.
Okay.
I mean, you know, all these wines too, you know, these are fresh. They're not tired. So especially if you're not abusing them with heat or direct sunlight, you know, they surprise me quite often. You know, even if the Pinot reaches maturity, it'll sort of hover indefinitely as long as you don't put it under, you know, unfriendly conditions. Okay, here we are. This actually requires a teeny little bit of explanation because it's a mouthful. I mean, Cavaliere Douro is actually means the gold knight and refers to a knight that evidently protected this property in the 1400s. And the property is actually the name of the estate is Castello di Gabbiano. Bellezza means beauty. This is from the Chianti Classico district, but you'll notice another PS here, Gran Selezione, which was a new DOCG controlled place name that was introduced in 2014. And basically it's like Uber Chianti Classico Reserva. It just requires longer, like 30 months aging prior to release, but interestingly, only 3 months in the bottle. So it doesn't mean it's been kept in wood forever. So when you see Gran Selezione, just think Chianti Classico Reserva, only more. And this is a truly historic estate. The first mention is in the 1100s, but then as I mentioned, in the 1400s, it actually became wine producing. And here we are, by the way, in Tuscany. And here we are in the Chianti region. And later we're going to taste another wine from these folks from Maremma, which is on the coast. And I have several pictures of the castle just because it's been around for a very long time. It's gone through different ownership, but they've all respectfully restored it. Look at their vineyards. Here's the castle up here. The vineyards are staggering. If you go to Venice, Antonio Gallone, who's reviewed this wine positively, says that, you know, their property is just mind-stopping in terms of the scope of it in Tuscany. And they're big on enoturism. So if you want to get married in Tuscany, I love this picture. There you go. This, interestingly, is 100% Sangiovese, which is unusual for Chianti because there are other allowable grape varieties, and usually 100% Chianti, 100% Sangiovese will be more for their super Tuscans. And I'm tasting it. And I think it's got Sangiovese's fabulous tension between acidity and tannin, and a little bit of a leathery character that's wonderful. There's some new oak on this, but not a ton. They haven't made it taste too modern or too new world. I think it's really kind of a forward, flashy, but classic expression. Gentlemen, you want to weigh in on that?
The only thing I would add is that the name of the wine represents a single vineyard that the grapes, that all the Sangiovese was drawn from.
Oh, Bellezza, which means beauty. Yep. So it's a single site.
Yeah, my understanding too was that one of the things with the Gran Selezione was that it needed to be 100% Sangiovese.
You may have me. I thought I studied it earlier today from a good source, Guild of Sommeliers, but I don't remember reading that. It could be.
Anyway, this one is.
Oh, no, it has to be estate. That
right.
I know for certain. It has to be estate, and it has but maybe it has to be 100% Sangiovese. Thank you. I didn't know that. So let's, Rod or Mike, do you have the wine? Do you want to opine at all about it?
I thought it was very, very full of expression, kind of shot out of the glass. Kind of Chianti Classico that wasn't very classic. I thought it was rich, full flavored, full bodied. I was surprised. I had always sold the estate Castello di Gabbiano and never realized that their top end stuff like this is was such a fine quality that this is. So that was a surprise to me that they had these beautiful vineyards that they could go to.
I think that was part of the reason that we were able to pick this up, and it's one of its sister wines that we'll have later on, is that there's a general perception of the Gabbiano property as producing fairly modestly priced
inexpensive
Chianti Classicos,
right.
and below.
Do we have a, I'm sorry, Denny, go ahead.
They introduced 4 wines under this label, 2 of which we have, and I think they just have had difficulty getting them to sell, perhaps because the golden night out there is associated with something of lesser quality. But both of these wines were striking, and at an awful good price.
Are we good on supply on this one, or is this one?
This one is very short. The other one, the IGP, we've got IGT.
So if folks find this intriguing, they might want to move on it. So just think that it's Chianti Classico Reserva Plus. And then why don't we go ahead and start discussing. We're going to really pivot and whip our head over from Europe to the New World, talking about these red blends. Cabernet, Merlot, Flat Top, which claims no grape varieties because it's a secret. And then a straight cab. Arrowwood is Sonoma Valley, correct? I mean, that's a really venerable producer from Sonoma.
Yeah, that's over in the, they call it west of the Mai-Camas Ridge. And Arrowwood was named after Richard Arrowwood, who was one of the original winemaker at Chateau Saint Jean, you know, long before Madeline was born. And these are, he left after many successful years at Saint Jean and started his own winery. I went, you know, going over the website, he's a very prestigious producer. It's basically all Sonoma and Sonoma Mountain. They have some Russian River, but it's primarily a red wine house. They make 10 reds. And this particular item is a restaurant only item.
That's right, because I called you earlier. I couldn't find it on the
Right.
website.
They
Right.
have on the website, they have a very similar wine with a different name, but this one is just called Proprietary Red. And again, it's one of those situations that the supplier, because restaurants weren't buying wine, he had 8-10 cases of this, and it's $2.14. So it'd be great in a restaurant. So with them not buying it, we were able to make a purchase on it. It is 75% Cabernet with the balance of it being the other 4 Bordeaux varietals. And the fruit comes from Sonoma Valley, Knights Valley, and Alexander Valley.
I didn't write the, this isn't so much typo, but I didn't write this gracefully. So it is Cabernet based with
Right.
the other, the
75%,
right.
and then the other ones are make up the balance of that. So it's a big sturdy wine, got some age on it, and it became available to us because of the restaurant situation. Much is the same story with the next wine, the 214 Burgess Cellars. Topography is restaurant only. And this is an interesting winery. One of the first wineries I ever visited back in the 70s. And it's up on Deer Park Road. And the owner, Tom Burgess, was a retired airline pilot, bought this old property with 100-year-old winery buildings on it. And over a course of time, rebuilt the whole thing and has a lot of mountain as well as valley floor vineyards. He had passed away and his 2 sons were running it. And last year they sold it to the gentleman who had bought Heights Winery several years ago. And ironically, they bought it in August, and in September, during the glass fire, the winery burned to the ground. And all the property, all the vineyards were all good, but it does, that's an interesting situation. So they're rebuilding, but that's where Burgess Cellars is. The particular wine is Merlot based. It's 62% Merlot and meant for restaurants, pours, it drinks very nice, very smooth, a polished Napa Valley wine. And it's primarily Merlot with 20% Malbec, a little bit of Petit Verdot and Syrah in it. Very accessible, sort of an interesting bottle, memorabilia wise, because it was one of the items from the old Burgess Cellars, which now is doesn't technically exist.
You know, I want to interject here. When we mentioned that these were originally restaurant wines, what that means, you know, wineries will produce certain cuvées or lots specifically for restaurant use, targeted for by the glass production, and they won't be available for retail. What's happened over the last several months, and it, you know, we all know the tragedy of the restaurant culture, and as soon as we can support our area restaurants, I know we all will, but you know, they stopped buying for their cellars and for by the glass production because, you know, people couldn't dine in stores. So these wines became available to us. We're not taking them away from restaurants. We're taking, you know, advantage of opportunities to share with you that otherwise we wouldn't be able to get our hands on. Correct, Denny? I mean, so this is nothing that we are not depriving the restaurant community of something that belongs to them. They're not in a position to purchase it at the moment.
Yeah, I think this year it's much more exacerbated because of the situation we're in. Once in a while, we'll get an opportunity to buy some restaurant wine just because the vintage has moved on and they want to move something out. But for the most part, it's frequently the same wine. We'll have one of these coming up where it's exactly the same wine that they produce. It just has a different label on it. It also traditionally protects the wine, the restaurant, and they're able to mark something up at a price range where the guest can't go out and find the bottle on the shelf in a retail situation.
Actually, that's a brilliant comment, because a lot of people do not understand, you know, restaurant pricing. And having spent, you know, all of my professional life prior to the last 10 years in restaurants, you know, it's not It's very different than retail. There's a lot of overhead that has to be accounted for. So, you know, I've always said that fair restaurant pricing is probably around double retail. But, you know, to be able to keep your wines by the glass at a moderate price is something that all restaurants with integrity and who are aware of customer perception will aim for. Tell us about Flat Top Hills. This is part of the Mondavi family, but not the Robert Mondavi family, right?
Yeah, Charles Krug Mondavi.
Oh, Charles Krug Mondavi. And they don't share the blend, correct?
Well, I've seen some suggestions on what it was, but I mean, this is fourth generation Mondavi kids, and this is a blend of Zinfandel, Malbec, Syrah, and Petit Syrah, but they're not telling you how much of what or whatever. It's made over in Yolo County in Dunnigan Hills, which is over in the general Sacramento region, but north of it.
So we're talking immediately, aren't we talking immediately east of Napa County?
Yes.
Northeast of Napa County,
and
right.
warmer climate. And this is a mouthful of wine. It's just a nice, big, rich, not over the top, but definitely not what you'd call it you won't confuse this with the Maison Champy Pinot Noir. This is a mouthful of wine. Very pleasant, very ready to drink. And again, you know, there's no shortage of blends out there. Some sell well, some don't. So there was a chunk of this that they wanted to move through and get to the next vintage. So
what do you think is in it, Denny? What are you imagining?
Pardon me?
What do you think is in it?
Zinfandel, Malbec, and Syrah.
Well, that's pretty straightforward. Okay.
It's big, but not over the top.
Bound and determined.
I could also,
go ahead, Rod.
I could also add the Flat Top Hills. Why would they call it that? That's not an inviting name. It's named for the rolling hills which surround the vineyard, which gives the impression of Flat Top Hills. So it's just a geographical presentation. It's not like the wine has a ceiling or anything like that. It's a nice, big, solid, everyday, juicy wine. We have it for what, $8. So it's just, you can have it with anything on any given night.
Before we go to Rhône style, I had a couple questions that have just come up on how to order the wine. So I'm going to reiterate, if you don't mind. Here we are on the Plum Market website. If you just go to plummarket.com, it will lead you to this site, which may not look like this because we alternate the images. Look at the banner at the top. Do not go to events or to Ship Me, where some people go for e-commerce wine. Go to catering. Rod, can you see the website?
Yep,
Did I manage this?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Then you're going to go to Takeaway Catering. You're going to go to the store of your choice. So let's go to Ann Arbor West for fun. And there it is, Denny's Garage Sale, which would lead you to this killer banner that was actually made by an employee at West Bloomfield, Jake. And there are all the wines. So you're going to place your order online. The difference between this online sale and our, in-person West Bloomfield garage sale is that we are involving all of the Michigan stores, but you do have to place your orders online as opposed to walking in the store and picking them up.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to get 10% off.
You get the automatic 10% off online.
And you get the automatic 10% off, right, on that website. So you don't have to add another promo code or anything like that. We made it simple so that I could understand it. I think we should quick look at these Rhône selections.
I got one more wine on that last one.
Oh, yep. I'm going to share the screen. Hold on. I just wanted to, I had a question about how to order. So I wanted, okay, here we go again. Bound and Determined Cab. Can you talk about
real
that,
quickly,
Denny?
This is a winery. The name of the winery is Roots Run Deep, and they make a number of wines. The one that most people would be familiar with is Educated Guess. It's a Cabernet from Napa. This is their next step up. It's a $40 Cabernet from Napa Valley. It's basically all valley fruit. It's 216. Needed to move through the vintage. We were offered a offered it. It's very, very nice, ready to drink, substantial Cabernet, polished, will continue to age, but it's a quite a nice bottle of Napa Cabernet for $20.
I think we should go ahead and taste the next wine, the Douro wine. Hold tight just for a moment. Hopefully I won't implode on how to share a screen, but this is a wine that interests me personally. I have a mini little story to tell. This is wine number 3 of the 4 wines we're tasting. This is from northern Portugal. And I thought supposed to go there. I have a dear friend of mine, Evan Goldstein, who arranges trips. And this one was through the Portuguese Trade Commission. And I thought, yay, we're going to Portugal. Lisbon, terrific. Alentejo in the southeast, wonderful. But the Douro, where port is made. I got to Portugal and it wasn't on our itinerary. So that said, I've never made it to the Douro. But this is the growing region that is the epicenter of port production. So it's a river valley that runs east from the Atlantic in northern Portugal. It becomes the Douro, as in Ribera del Duero in Spain. And here we are, right up here is where it's located. And the phenomena of dry Douro reds is very, very recent. The topography is just gorgeous. Terraced vineyards, and these aren't nearly the steepest of them, but we're talking about grape varieties like Touriga Nacional, Touriga Francesca, and Touriga Tinta Roriz, which is another of the many, many synonyms for Tempranillo. And these wines are basically, if you want to shorthand it sort of coarsely, dry port. Here's a drone shot. Isn't it gorgeous? And the character of them is really expressed in this wine. Concentrated. There's a little chunk of oak on it, but not too much to command your attention. People who like deep, dark reds that are smooth will love them. And there's another thing about Douro reds. There's a beautiful florality to the nose that I just love. Anybody else want to jump in about the Douro? Mike or Rod?
Well, I hesitate to go there. I love this wine. This is one of the wines in short supply, so you should order this sooner than later. But that oak kind of jumps right out. I thought it was American oak, but it's actually just all new French oak. They use complete destemming, so they're using very modern methods to get a little more elegant, sleeker, attractive wine. Distinctly Portuguese, though. I don't think you would make that mistake that is someplace else.
No, you've got an inorganic minerality to this, and it's grown on granite soil, you know, so it's not, we're not talking Napa Cab here by anybody's measure. I thought the oak was integrated, didn't you?
It was there, it was apparent, but I could accept it, so I didn't have a problem with it.
And as a terroirist, that's a compliment. For you.
Yeah, this is a wine that it's a transition wine. New World people would love it. European lovers will love it also. It's just kind of an international style that fits a lot of different ways to go.
One of the things about selling these wines in this type of situation where you've got a wholesaler trying to move some wines, this was a wine that we were promised a certain quantity of. We took delivery on part of it. When we went back to get the rest of it, they said they had miscounted 12 cases and they didn't exist. So that puts a bit of a crimp in our style on this wine. So if you're interested in this, there's a small amount of it in all the stores and then it's gone.
And when it is, no worries, because we have other Douro reds in the stores. This is
there's plenty of other wines.
And that are competitive. I mean, not quite this competitive, but you know, it's a category that frankly, in my opinion, way over delivers than its price point. So you will see other Douro reds that range from, you know, the around 20 and up, but very high quality.
Absolutely.
Should pull this, the list up again so we can keep tromping through it. We're making reasonably good time. So we left off Rhône style. This is Cangarilla Road Shiraz. I haven't tasted it, or as they would say, Shiraz. This is, a neat estate. It's relatively new. Family owned and operated in McLaren Vale, which is part of South Australia, just south of Adelaide. So you get, influence. They're right up against the water. And their wines are not overly alcoholic or jammy. Anybody tasted this particular Shiraz and can weigh in?
Yeah, it's I was this one may need a little time actually. It's
Really?
full bodied, yep. Blackberry, plum, olives. It has right now raspy tannins, but the more it's in my glass, which I have right now, the more it opens up. So this was really intriguing to me when I opened it.
Somebody needs to mute. Everyone check your mute button. Okay, cool. Thank you, Mike. So you're drinking it as we speak. Cool.
Yeah, and it's I've had it open for about a half hour, and it just keeps opening up. But this if you're on the list, and I haven't tasted all the wines, but this is ageable for at least 5 to 8 years. I know it got a review from enthusiasts, and they recommended tasting it or drinking it from 2020 to 2030. Certainly, it's on the young side at 2020, 21, but it'll go a number more years.
So it's a lot of Shiraz for $12.
It's a lot of Shiraz for $12. Yep.
Paula, did you raise your hand? Do you want to say something?
I did. I tasted this last week, and I thought it was a beautiful example of McLaren Vale. And so what I mean by that is it has great acidity to it. I thought this was incredibly smooth, a really delicious Shiraz. It had all that beautiful red fruit and earth. And I thought it was ready to go like today. So I would definitely be interested to see what happens to it in a few years, hanging on to it. McLaren Vale is my favorite region in Australia because they tend to retain their acidity. Like it doesn't come off acidified like some Barosas do, and just so balanced. I just thought that this was a lovely Shiraz.
Cool. And this is not on our going to disappear instantly list, right, Denny?
No, there's a reasonable supply of it.
Limerick Lane Zinfandel. This really interests me because these folks are, at the A++ list of Zin producers. They, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are in prime time Russian River Valley, but they don't make Pinot and Chardonnay. They're in the warmer northeast corner, and they produce Zinfandel and Rhône varietals, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, this particular bottling is exactly the same bottling as the one that they sell under the Russian River label. This one doesn't have that. It's called 18 Acres in from Russian River and is restaurant only.
Well, that's why I'm trying to look all this stuff up and
Yep.
I couldn't find it on the website.
Yeah, so it's a restaurant only item, but it's exactly the same wine. It just has a different label on it. And it's Zinfandel with a little touch of Petit Syrah added to it. I think there's some of that just planted in the fields and it's blended in, but it's a very small amount. But as Madeline said, the Limerick Lane is very famous as one of these fistful of very well thought of Russian River Zinfandel producers. And it's fresh, lively, it's got age on it, but at the same time, it's got, it'll take time. Very enjoyable bottle of Zin. Great wine with ribs.
Some of the best Zins I've seen come out of Russian River. It's odd because you would think
Right.
it's too cold, but it works. I checked out the scores. This wine has unbelievable scores. 94 Suckling, 94 Enthusiast, 93 Spectator, 92 Wine Advocate. Kind of just bizarre. I mean, that's not bizarre, but it's just a great producer. And he really is a specialist. The most intriguing thing that got me was that under Parker's notes, he says the wine features peach preserves and classic stone fruit aromas. I've never read that about a red wine, so that intrigues me quite a bit on how you could get that. And he says the wine has tannin, nice balance and everything. So it's one of the more intriguing wines in this entire list.
I think it's a wine geek comment because I've heard some of my hyper intelligent colleagues refer to peach or peach jam or peach yogurt when it comes to Zinfandel, and I don't know as I see it, but there you have it. By the way, I'm going to address this directly. There's some issues some people are having with the 10% discount. We are going to look into it, no worries. It should have been automated. If anyone tried to place orders prior to 6:30, there wouldn't have been an additional discount, correct, Rod and Denny? It would have been the prices, just the prices straight up. So also you'll notice going back to the Limerick Lane, it is, front line 50. So it's not half off, but still it's a lot of wine for a Limerick Lane.
Yeah, their wines are cheap.
And if we can keep going through the list, but go ahead and taste that Cabernet, which just has a glorious smell. It just smells like, you want to talk about jammy, it's in there. And that is dominantly Lake County, which I have a piece of neat trivia. I'm now talking about the fourth virtual tasting selection, the Abandoned Cab Sauv. This is where, you know who started their empire there? Jess Jackson. Bought 80-acre walnut and fruit farm, not grapes, and was going to sell wine to other producers until the grape glut made him create Kendall Jackson Chardonnay. So if you're ever wondering about Lake County, there you have it. So I think if you want to go ahead and taste the cab, but let's talk about this Cecchi La Mora Maremma. I'm going to jump in here because I've been to this estate. In Tuscany, when I went to Tuscany a very long time ago, I think it was my first wine trip to Europe, and they hosted us. And what's notable about this name, they fly under the radar, but they were at the forefront of planting superlative Sangiovese clones to elevate the character and the quality of Chianti. After World War II, a lot of really, mass production clones had been planted and went into those. If other people are, old enough like us to remember the little, stubby wine bottles that you'd make lampshades out of, it didn't do the word Chianti a favor, but Cecchi was at the forefront of planting superlative Sangiovese clones. This, however, is from Maremma, that coastal Tuscan region. And what's the blend on this, Denny? Is this Merlot based?
Cab and Merlot.
Mm-hmm.
50-50.
So notable producer, $7. It's, it has me intrigued. Do you want to say anything else about it?
Just sort of a funny situation. We negotiated a price on this. When it got put into the system, they put it in and made a mistake, and it was even cheaper. And the people selling it to me said, "Oh, what the hell? Just sell it." So that's a $20 bottle, and you can get it for $7.
Okay, and one of you guys has to start singing about the Altesino Brunello, because this was a last-minute ad, correct?
Go, Rod, go.
Go, Rod, go.
Well, we should apologize for those who bought it earlier in the year at a higher price, but this is a garage sale. Why is it here? I guess Denny did his wonders.
216 is coming.
I had the good fortune of being in Italy when the 15 Brunellos were in barrel. And every place I went to, every producer said, this is the greatest ever. And I didn't think I'd be in the business when these wines actually hit the market. And not only am I still in the business, but here it's on a garage sale. Altesino is one of the great stars down through the years. What they do is what a lot of Brunello producers have done, which have made their wines really have universal appeal, is that they've had a softer, smoother, velvety approach to the Brunellos. When I first got into business, everybody said, well, you have to wait 20, 30 years to drink a Brunello. They were rough and mean. So they've gotten past that. They soften it out. But there's tremendous expression, depth of flavor, 100% Sangiovese Grosso, full bodied. You get the sandalwood, savory elements, nice black fruits and things like that. 15 was a fabulous year, the best ever. Now I'm hearing things about 16. Oh, wait a minute, the 16s might be as good.
It's kind of like Bordeaux, right? 15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is at $45 for this, a legendary wine. You should not let this go by, especially if you're an avid Brunello lover.
Cavaliere, I'm sorry, Denny, did you?
I was going to say, that's the most age-worthy wine on the group.
Yeah.
But still, Altesino, it's not.
Fairly forward.
It's fairly forward, and you know there is an elegance to the wine. You know, it's not. That's the thing about beautiful Brunello di Montalcino. It's concentrated, but it's not buried by the oak, and the tannins are not harsh. So the Cavaliere d'Oro, same producer as the Chianti Gran Selezione that we tasted. Alianza. Is this a single vineyard too, Denny, but from Marama, or is that a fantasy name? Do we know?
No, I think, I'm not sure. It didn't say what it was. It's just, it's in the Chianti Classico region. And the comment that they made was they planted Cabernet and Merlot in this region because the Chianti Classico region was so good, and these grapes responded so well that they created this wine. So
I have my information wrong. Then I thought this was made on the coast, but it's not. The Cecchi is made on the coast in Marama.
Right.
This is
Right.
made within the Chianti region. Got it.
And this is I'm not sure who owns Cavaliere d'Oro now, but it's a tribute to their winemaker, Giovanni Roman and Ed Sabraja from Beringer.
What
They
did he
worked
have
on,
to do with it?
they were, and well, gone from Beringer, but now with his own winery. But it's a combo between the two of them. It's 60% Merlot and 40% Cabernet.
By the way, let's talk about that abandoned cab, because I'm sitting here drinking it and I am tough on cabs, but I think it's positively delish. I mean, it's painting my glass, but the tannins are smooth. And again, I mentioned the jamminess of the character of the fruit, which I love. Tell us, is this, where did this come from, Denny? Because I couldn't find information about this either.
My understanding is about half from Napa, the valley, which is softer, more subtle fruit. And then the balance of it is from mountain fruit in Lake County with elevations up to 3,000 feet.
Here's Lake County, by the way, if you're looking at the north coast. Yep, here's San Francisco down here. And then we've got this little orange area is Napa. This area here is the purple area is Sonoma. There's Sonoma Coast, huge. And then Lake County is northeast of Napa. And it is named after Clear Lake. And the Red Hills are one of the AVA's approved American viticultural areas there that have, look at this shot, it's just killer, that have obsidian soils, which are volcanic derived glass-like soils. But, at the end of the day, Lake County is sort of the quiet hero of quality Cabernet source. And people are asking, what would we pair with the abandoned Cabernet? Well, we're in the dead of winter and it's cold. So meat eaters, Rod, Mike, do you cook? What would you do with?
Well, yeah, any of the red meats or even pork. Chicken might be too light for it, but I'd say pork and veal, not veal, I'm sorry, lamb or pork or beef. Anything with tomatoes in it too, I think would also work. So like a casserole or stew.
Pasta.
Pot roast, absolutely. And you're talking to the career vegetarian here. Tie it in with eggplant, root vegetables, anything grilled. Mushrooms are always a great link to big reds. Plenty of olive oil, right? A little cheese if you like. By the way, we are going to check on the whole issue of the discount, no worries. We may not be able to do it in real time as you're still on the tasting and on this virtual event, but we will.
The only thing I can think, Matt, it may not go into effect until you actually close out your order.
That might be it.
I don't know.
You know, the gentleman who takes care of our tech issues, we'll contact him and see if we can resolve it. So just know, please don't let it detract you from placing orders. We're aware of the issue and we'll see if we can.
One way or another, it'll be taken care of.
One way or another, it'll be taken care of. But
no worries. We trust you. You guys always treat us right. It's all good.
God love you.
Can't pay my mortgage anymore.
No, you know, well, garage sale plus 10%, right? For those of us
It happens. What can I tell you?
It happens, absolutely. So we have a few more while you're tasting that Cabernet, by the way. It is just lush. But let's go ahead and finish up because we're after 7.
You got 2 French wines, that's it.
And we've got 2 French wines. So Domaine, Paul, I don't think it's Bouisset. I think it's Buisse Cabernet Franc. And to remind everyone, Chinon is a place name in the central Loire Valley in northern France where Cabernet Franc reigns. And the style of this wine is not going to be the type of Cabernet Franc that you get on the right bank of Bordeaux that will be, you know, offset by Merlot and be more concentrated and have new oak on it. It will be sleek and has a spectacular aromatic of, I always find Cabernet Franc from Loire very perfumed and floral with red and black fruits and also a little bit of a wonderful herbal element. Has anyone tasted this particular one? Denny, did you?
I have. I picked a bottle up on Sunday.
Oh, tell us.
And we opened it, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, because I was curious, because I love Cab Franc from the Loire Valley. It just always intrigues me. So I'm like, hey, I'll just pick this up. Michael was like, yeah, Denny recommends it, buy it. So I picked up a bottle. Immediate, like perfume from the glass. I was just, I mean, like from 3 feet away, you could smell the perfume from the glass. And then as it opened up, you could get a little bit of the tobacco notes from it. It was phenomenal.
Oh, excellent.
I loved it.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I think I lost the wine list. I apologize.
So just another thing about this wine. This gentleman makes 3 or 4 different Chinon, and this is his entry level, his everyday stuff, but his vineyards are 10 to 50 years old, and he makes this for the everyday situation. And I found it very typical Cabernet Franc, as it was just recently described, very enjoyable and very reasonably priced. The story on this wine is that it was brought in by a supplier for some big box stores, and they didn't take it all. Well, it suddenly becomes something nobody wants in their warehouse, and we were at the right spot at the right time. So that's why it's
yeah, and Denny, I would have to agree. This is a great wine at $16. This is a steal at $8. You know, classic Cab Franc. It's really well balanced. Spice, red fruit, black fruit. This one maybe the quiet one on the list, but this is well worth seeking out.
Especially if you are like terroir driven wines, you know, if you're a European guy. And I'm really sorry, I lost the screen share on our wine list, but just a reminder, this is list price 16 and the garage sale price is 8. And the final wine on the list is a little Bordeaux. Little is meant affectionately and respectfully. Chateau Thalès. It's from the, you know, stunning 2016 vintage. And it is selling for $10. Who's tasted it and wants to jump in here?
Well, this
I
is
think we all tasted it.
Yeah.
Did you taste it? Rod, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's mostly Merlot, and it's got a little bit of that nutty, spicy Merlot quality, but it's a 16 fully ripe. It was part of a 6-pack of 2016 prize winners, and we were able to extract just this one wine from that 6-pack and offer it at a much better price than if you had to buy the 6-pack. So that's a great deal, but it's a garage sale.
So this is extracted from the 6-pack. That's cool.
Well, the importer bought more, and what he did was he assembled the 6-packs himself, and instead of including them all in, I think he bought a little bit more of this one, or we just simply happened to see that he had this, and we made an offer, and it fell through, and it went right for us. Yes, it's a 16. It's drinking quite well. It's an easy drink, $10 for a Bordeaux. Who said you can't drink Bordeaux every day? So,
Here
and
it
it's a
is, by
gold
the
medal
way.
winner.
Yep. And it's a
It's
and
a
they don't
gold
give,
medal winner.
yep,
Yeah.
they don't give those out like candy. And here it is.
Yeah, double
on-
gold medalist.
Yes.
Here it is on the garage sale site, and there's the Chianti as well. I apologize, I lost the screen share, but just to remind us all, we are backing out of it. We are at a specific store. You're going to see Denny's garage sale when you go to any of the Plum Market stores through the catering website, which appears right at the top, right there. So that's the big takeaway is catering, select your store, and it will lead you to Denny's garage sale. We're going to hang out for a little while longer. I know that we're running 10 minutes over, but I wanted to also let you know what we've got coming up because it's pretty exciting. In 2 weeks, we're going to have the company of a family member of the Perrins. So this is Mark Perrin, and we're talking Chateau de Beaucastel. You were there, weren't you, Denny?
Yes, I was.
On your fab trip to Europe? Yes.
Yep, we spent 5 hours there. Quite a day.
We had a big discussion on whether to show Beaucastel or not, but we wanted to make the wines accessible. So we've got 3 different reds, no whites, again, dead of winter. It's going to be on a Friday because when we have Europeans joining us, I know they're not going to join us for the most part past their 10, maybe 11 p.m., which is our 4 o'clock Eastern. So Mark Perrin has agreed to join us at 4 o'clock on Friday. And why Friday? Because I figure you're more inclined to get off work a little bit early on a Friday as opposed to a Thursday. I could be wrong about this. You know, it depends who's working at home and who's not. But for those of you who have to peel off that we're not going anywhere, we are going to resend the PDF, the wine list. Someone has asked me if we can annotate it with some of the key comments. Sure, I will do that, but I may not do it tonight. What I'll do is tonight, as soon as we get off, I will resend the wine list. I will resend the link to everyone. We will look on the whole discount issue to see if we can resolve that. And we will provide you with our email addresses in case you want to discuss your orders with us. But just a reminder, we cannot, you're not going to march into the store and look at all these wines down one aisle. They have to be placed, the order has to be placed online, though we're accessible to you to discuss. It's the one trade-off we had to do as opposed to having, dozens of cases piled up at the West Bloomfield bar, right, Denny?
Yeah, Mike Timpa didn't have to work up a sweat today.
Yes, no. Lots of nice comments in the chat room. Anybody else want to raise their hand or unmute or opine? We will officially close it up here, but again, we'll hang out for a little while in case you want to ask any questions, ask for our opinions, or simply give us comments, which I'm frankly always thirsty for and happy to hear anything you have to say.
Hey, Madeline, we, at least in my opinion, skipped over the Marama Toscana a little quickly. I brought it home today because I read James Suckling's review of it, and I was actually a little concerned by his review. But this is a Tuscan blend that is not what Jim Suckling says it is. This is blackened skin fruit, Morello cherry, black raspberry, nice acidity, very well balanced. And in just my humble opinion, for $7 a steal of a wine. Jim Suckling describes it as chocolate and raspberries and strawberry and full bodied, and maybe he tasted it probably we tasted it years ago, because this is 2015, but it is developed nicely in bottle.
Oh,
And,
here it is.
certainly
This
with
is
the
the one where I'm looking for it online. So this is the one we're talking about, correct?
Yeah, it has the horse on it, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in, because I think we moved on to Brunello without talking about it, and I just happened to bring it home tonight, and I was really pleasantly surprised.
No, we're not muted either.
What's the weight of it, Mike? Is it medium bodied?
It's medium body. Yep,
So this is a true steal at $7.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
great everyday drinker.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Because I didn't pull any of the wines, silly rabbit that I am, other than the 4
Stop the
wines we
video
were
over here.
tasting tonight.
You want to raise your hand?
You're welcome to
Yeah.
everyone who is saying that we've elevated virtual tastings and making them easy for you. I'm glad, because it's our life, right? For the moment, but sometimes they can be a little bit dry. And I find that the virtual tastings that I attend for information sometimes lack warmth
That's not
and
raising your
humor.
hand.
Somebody needs to mute, unless you want to speak up, in which case by all means do, just so we don't get background noise. But we try to make these as real as possible, so that we can imagine seeing each other in a room, which is going to happen as we all feel more comfortable and as it becomes more safe. Anyone else
So
want?
Madeline,
Mhm.
hi. So now that my wife has the lipstick filter off my image on Zoom, I'm more comfortable to make comment. This was fantastic. Thanks to you and the team. As always, this was absolutely lovely.
Oh, what a nice thing to say. Thank you very much. So tell me, either from the wines that you tasted or anything, what looked intriguing to you on the list? I'm always curious what pulls people's attention. Are you a European drinker or a New World drinker?
I think they're all I love them all. That's sad to say in some regard, but no, they're all excellent. And to hear you all speak to their, the various facets and the background about the winery and whatnot, that just, especially in these COVID times, it's just fantastic to hear this. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
And
very
I have
welcome.
to say, Patrick pulled our wine case because we were traveling, and he pulled our wine case together for us before we left, and he did a really good job.
Oh,
So
Patrick
really happy.
Mulrooney, excellent, at Bloomfield, right?
Yep.
No, that's great to hear, because we actually have a lot of people from Bloomfield on tonight, which is terrific.
So Madeline, I just want to add, I think what's amazing about these is these are labels if we just saw on the shelf, we'd know nothing about. So the opportunity to try some things that, just are certainly not on my radar is what I find fantastic.
I'm happy to hear you say that, because you know what, frankly, I'll tell you a secret. When I go to either a growing region I haven't been to, or even San Francisco, and I walk into a wine shop, or New York, where they have things available that are not available in this market, I get confused, so to have the endorsement from someone who is telling you the truth as they know it, and speak, because seriously, we're not selling you used cars, you know what I mean? We really love wine, each and every one of us, in very different ways. So it's, I know exactly what you mean. It's like having somebody come up to you and go, listen, what are you looking for? $7 or 50? And this is what I think, because the price point really is so deeply personal, isn't it?
That's one of the things I think that we've taken a lot of pride in, as far as that back aisle goes with all these wines on it, is that there may be some wines on there that guests don't care for, but we can vouch for the quality of all the wines. And we've always at Plum figured the most important time we see you is the second time we see you. And that says something about what we've sold you the first time. So you can feel comfortable.
Gentleman, that's a gentleman merchant saying that.
Yeah.
You can be comfortable with what we're selling back there, even though you can't sometimes figure out why it's so damn cheap.
But actually, to that point, I have to say this, I've been working for Plum for exactly 10 years now. And prior to that, it was all restaurants. And I am personally really proud of the fact that we're a premium store, but the stunning values are always in the wine department. And also, that wine department has been, the genesis of it was one of the partners, Mark Jonah, who is deeply in love with wine and has a killer palate. So, knowing that when you go to the source of who set this up and who's setting the tone qualitatively, there you have it. I'm really proud of our price value relationship. I truly am.
Well, Madeline, you guys, I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's the wine department that brings us into Plum Market. So he was really smart in getting you to
don't tell the produce buyers that, but it's
well, they do a good job too. But I mean, that's why we come in to see you guys and your team.
Thank you.
Madeline, it's really quite striking that you can buy a decent bottle of wine for the price of a loaf of bread.
Well, it should be that way. If we were in Greece, it would be like that, or in southern Italy, right? Or Spain.
So I'd like to give a shout out to the Ann Arbor store, and I visited with both stores, and I'm just thrilled. It makes me want to travel so much, and I've been doing Zoom tastings with my travel agent and her folks in Italy and in France. And I will say that this has been terrific. So thank you so much. I'll be joining you again in the future.
Oh, please do. Thank you. And I promise you that when we have a guest speaker on, it's not pedantic. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to get Mark Perrin on, because this is a guy who lives it, and I take my personal inspiration as sort of the little moderator to ask the questions that will tell us the truth of what they live.
I was in Portugal and we didn't get into the Douro Valley, so that was the one I enjoyed this evening. And when you showed the drone and
isn't that beautiful? No, it's just glorious. But I will tell you, I've been actually personally pushing the buyers, especially in West Bloomfield and Bloomfield, to list Douro, because I think they're also great Cabernet alternatives in terms of the weight and the concentration. They have a different flavor, but they're not weird.
They're lighter, and they're lighter.
Yeah. But they're just delicious. Somebody asked a question about Baltic wines, and I was hoping maybe Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, by the way, has a lot of offbeat. The Ann Arbor stores, both Ann Arbor West and North Campus, have. If you're looking for offbeat Euro, that's where you want to go. Rod or Mike, anything from the Baltic that you know?
Well, Plymouth store has more of those Baltic wines than Mike does, but I think they both have some. But I've always chided Jorge that he probably has too many of those wines. He likes them. He buys what he likes. So next time you're in there, I'd make a point to talk to him, so you will get an opinion about all of them in that store. So
yeah,
that's great.
Madeline, I
awesome.
just wanted to talk about. So appreciate the education that you've given us with this. Although I have to admit that I'm amazed at how rapidly that these very inexpensive wines add up to $400. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what Irresistible does, But know that at least that your $400 is well spent, right? It isn't like you can eliminate one and all of a sudden 75 goes away, right?
But you saved $400 too.
Once we're back to real tastings, hopefully sooner rather than later, I hope you keep these virtual tastings, because to me, the thing is not just learning stuff, but hearing the actual winemakers talk. And that we don't get with a real tasting. So
no, you get it occasionally.
I hope we keep up.
Absolutely. To your great point, I mean, we sort of wait around for someone to come to the Detroit market, right? But in this case, they're actually approaching us. It's amazing. And coming up, by the way, we've got, after Perrin, we've got Giuseppe Vira, who is, I get chills thinking about it. He's like one of the, the gold standards for Barolo production. And we won't just be tasting Barolo from the Piedmont. And we're also going to get the husband and wife team from the Pizzoni family that make great Santa Lucia Pinot Noir and expensive but staggeringly good Sauvignon Blanc. I've just been approached by Vietti, another great Piedmont producer, and we'll probably show them in the fall and, and such. So, the producers are very grateful for the exposure as well, because this is the Europeans can't go anywhere, we just make them stay up late. That's all.
Great. So I think, once again, I hope these ritual tastings become an addition to.
No, they will, absolutely. And we were discussing that earlier today, is that when we do in person again, we'll probably stagger them. Denny, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, we asked 2 years ago to line up somebody from Perrin at Castello. And when I was there in late 2019, I mentioned it. And it's taken this long to finally get them to agree to do something. So they're busy people. And if we want to have principles, it takes time to get a hold of them. So,
well, and what Denny means by that, I mean, we're a little fuss budgety. There are plenty of people who work for them who, would be, are great pros and can speak to the family. But to have a family member is different. To have either the owner or the winemaker, or in the case of a European producer that's been around for, 100 years, it's nice to have someone who's grown up on the estate, don't you think? And they can speak to it from the inside out.
From their soul.
Yeah, from their soul, absolutely.
Well, and so Denny, we want you to work on your negotiating prowess with Perrin, please.
Yeah, because I might pay for the whole trip.
Yeah, that's a little more expensive stuff. They don't usually have old Castello available.
Yeah, but I'm going to remind everybody, I showed you the wines that we're sharing that night. We didn't do Castello, so we're going to have Vin Sobre at 15, Coudelet de Castello, which is sort of, on the other side of the highway from Castello, and then Les Sinard, which is another Châteauneuf du Pape in their portfolio. We made the option not to have Castello itself because we figured even at a good price, how many people are going to buy what? Was it, Denny, $75 for
yeah, $75, and it's not going to show itself very well being a 217 vintage.
So I promise everyone, as soon as we get off, I will resend the list, the complete wine list. I will resend the link. We will try to figure out what's going on with the discount,
Yeah. My one question still is, if you're trying to close out your sale, that's probably when the discount goes on. I haven't tried it. So it's just a question of, you put the whole thing through and total it and try to close it out. Hopefully your discount goes on at the end.
It didn't work, Denny. I closed out during the tasting and it was full price, but I know you guys will make it right, so I'm not worried about it.
I would expect with you that it would probably add 10%. So.
Oh, they probably would, because I need to make my mortgage payment this month, Denny.
Oh, you're under. Okay. We'll get it figured out. So, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, it's all good.
Right.
I just want to give kudos to Denny for his negotiating power and always having a fantastic showing on the garage sale. Just outstanding. Thank you very much.
We have fun.
Do you know we should have
buy some Brunello?
We should have actually filmed Mark Jonah talking about how Denny's garage sale is really something that is not duplicated nationally. It's very unusual. So we're proud of it, but we're equally proud of the gentleman who is the who gave birth to it.
Got a funky garage.
But if you look closely at it, it's got a lightsaber in it.
That's it,
so
right
there. You have it. So listen, everyone, thank you so much. I hope
Thanks, guys.
I will also send you the invitation for Perrin, so you have it. Rod and Denny, maybe the three of us can do a quick conference call after this and try to get a hold of Travis to help with the whole discount issue. Mike, as always, having you weigh in is wonderful. And we appreciate each and every one of you more than we can say. We really do. You make these times very cheerful for us. These tastings are special. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take good care, everyone.
Shout out to my son, Mike Walsh.
Mike Walsh, yay!
Hey guys, it was awesome. I'm so sorry I had to in and out the whole time. I've been cooking.
No, what are you
Edwards.
cooking? Wait a minute, what are you cooking?
You guys were talking about one of the wines, asking what to pair with it, and I was doing a short rib Philly sandwich with mushrooms, and it was like everything everybody was saying, and I had to not burn it, so I had to excuse myself. But yeah, I'm down at Atwater making a different kind of juice these days and having fun.
I
Thank
miss
you so much.
working with you, but I'm glad you're doing well.
Always miss working with you. It's great to see you guys.
Take good care, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
Good night.
night.
Good night. Stay well and thank you.